It's time for Chat with Chuck, live from Windsor, California, discussing stuff on Chuck's mind, life, attitudes, and stuff. And now, your host, Chuck the DJ.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know if anybody was paying attention to that last song, but gosh darn, I love that one. I want to be a rock star, but I want to be a golf star. And Hackman, how are you doing today? Welcome in. Dan Stations, Matthew, you're in the chat. I'd like to welcome everybody here to episode number 6 of Chat with Chuck. Today is going to be a exceptional, I think, episode, because coming up in a few minutes, we have an interview, the big interview with my boy DJ Ryan, local DJ cat, good friend of mine. We each call each other Pookie. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I want to say happy April 1st, and I do want to warn everybody, or actually, I'm not warning, I'm letting everybody know that there will be no April Fool's jokes today. Everything that we go for here on Chat with Chuck today is completely straight up. It's no lies, no anything. It's just April Fool's is off the table. Where there's no April Fool's jokes. So we are going to go with that. So don't think I'm pulling anything off on you when I'm saying something. We're going to start a new segment today, and it's going to be towards the end of the show, probably like the last 5 or 10 minutes of the show. And I'm letting you know now so you can start thinking, you can start planning. But what I'm going to call is run to the chat. Run to the chat. And since this is Chat with Chuck, what I want to do is like the last 5 minutes or how much ever time we have at the end, I want to open it up to the chat. I want to say, okay, so you've been hanging out with me for the last 55 minutes. Is there a question? Is there a statement you want to make about the show, about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness? Pretty much anything that you want to go for the last 5 or 10 minutes. So run to the chat segment will be on the end. So you can start thinking about it now. You can start planning about it. And those of you that will be listening on YouTube or Apple Music or Amazon Music or Spotify, which we're going to talk about here real quick. I don't see any raised hands yet. Beefrick, I'd like to welcome Beefrick in the chat, and Dan Stations, Matthew, another local good buddy of mine who I've known for years and years and years and years, probably longer than either one of us cared to admit. And Matthew's been going through some stuff, and I don't want to get too personal, but Matthew, of course, we're always sending you, positive vibes, because you and I are always thinking. We see your posts on Facebook. I liked your post about Tony the Tiger and the glasses and your glasses that you're wearing. So, but positive stuff going on for you there. We may not stay in touch very often. We may not touch bases, but we are there, and we're keeping it up for you. But speaking of Spotify, let's talk about Spotify for a second. I do record the show live here on Twitch, and then I upload it to Spotify, Amazon Music, which we haven't heard back from yet, so I don't know if they're actually posting them yet, so I have no guarantees on that one. And then we put it on YouTube. On YouTube, you actually get the video part, so if people want to watch the show, they can actually see what we're doing here. They can see my hands flailing around and all that kind of stuff, or they can just, put your earbuds on and just listen to it as you're, jogging, running, or trying to find something that is soothing enough to put you to sleep late at night, which is what we aim for. But Spotify, without warning, they just sent me a note 2 days ago, and they have deleted the first 2 episodes of Chat with Chuck because music rights. I don't play a lot of music during the show, but when we do talk about On This Date in Music, I guess I dropped a song or two. Radioactivity, welcome to the show. Good afternoon. So during the show, I do play occasionally a bit of song or two. I haven't played a whole song on the show, as far as I know, on the first 2 episodes. But Spotify, in all their wisdom and all their glory, whoever their lawyers are, have decided that whatever I played is copyrighted, and rather than just muting that section of the show, they just they just took the first 2 episodes down right off Spotify. Now, I have 3 more episodes on there, and I am hoping that they don't take those down, but it will not shock me now if they do. So even when I'm talking about music, specifically about a song or whatever, I'm not going to play it because I don't want to take the chance of getting kicked off Spotify. I do know that there is royalty-free music that I could play if I want to have something in the background, or I want an intro music or outro music or something like that. I can do that. But playing, We Are Family, or Chuck Mangione, Feel So Good, like I did last week, that might have got me in trouble. So there we go. I'm I'm just not going to do that. But hopefully Spotify in their wisdom will allow these next few episodes to go on. I hope everybody's had a good week since last week, and I appreciate you that are in the chat here, listening and hanging out. I know Radioactivity wasn't here at the very beginning, but we do have a new segment at the end of the show called Run to the Chat, where I'm going to take questions, take comments, respond to thoughts, concerns, whatever is from the chat. So if you have something you want to bring up, I should sing the first couple bars. No, if you have something you want to bring up at the end of the chat, that's a good thing. But keep the chat going. Talk in the chat. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat as much as I can. Listening back onto some of the shows that I've already recorded, I do see how responding to the chat does kind of break up the zone that I'm in at that point in time. But you know what? I don't really expect this to be anything huge. I'm just doing this because I like to hear the sound of my own voice. That's what my mom used to say. So that's Chat with Chuck. That's what we're going for. So what's been going on? Beeferg, what have you been doing? My wife was gone last week. I think I told you all about that last week or the week before last. My wife was going to be gone up to a convention up in Minnesota. She had a great time, by the way. But that left me home alone for the first time. I don't know how long it's been since she used to go out and fly around the world to teach her belly dance. It's the last time. So I want to say 10 or 11 years since I've been left home alone for a week, and that was a little scary thing. Did she bring some snow back for me? Hackman is asking. No, and she only apparently saw it for a little bit while she was there. And she was at the host hotel, and she stayed in the host hotel that had the convention and all this kind of stuff. And she actually never left the hotel. She was there for, I think, 5 days, 4 days, something like that. And she stayed inside the whole time. I think she looked outside to see the snow, but she didn't really go out and play in it. My wife is not really a snow or cold weather person. We've been married 33 years, and we had a buddy who had a cabin up at Donner Summit, which is up by Lake Tahoe. And a couple times we went up there because he would have a get-together around New Year's, and we went up there, and we'd play in the snow and stuff. But we're not really cold weather people. That's why we enjoyed Maui so much when we lived on Maui. So the snow is really pretty to look at. We enjoy seeing pictures of snow. And all the fun things. Oh, look, you can go tubing, you can go skiing, all that fun snow stuff that you do. Build a snowman, make a igloo, and go inside. But we really have no desire. We really have no desire to go hang out in the snow. And for those of you that are in areas like Hackman that have snow and stuff, I do not know how you do it. It is just crazy when we see the snow drifts over the cars and having to dig your way out. And sometimes you'll see a post on Facebook where somebody opens up their front door and it's just solid snow there with indentations of whatever design they had on their door or their screen door. No, that's fine. That's fine. We'll stay toasty warm here in California, and we'll pay through the nose for it. I filled up my gas tank today. My van, my Dodge Caravan. It's not even a huge van, and it wasn't even completely empty. And it still cost me $75 to fill up. Gas was $5.29 a gallon here in California on April Fool's Day, and it wasn't a joke. That's really what it was, and that was scary. And I hope that you are all paying something cheaper for your gas, and I hope that prices do go down. I don't want to get real political. You bought gas one time so far this year. Do you not drive, or you just have a huge gas tank in your car? I don't know. Hackman was saying that he only bought gas one time so far this year. I wish I could say that. I wish I could say that, but no. I got to keep my van full because my gigs, and I have gigs, and they're the most of my gigs are at least an hour away from my house. I don't do really very many close gigs. The golf course, Northwood, that I hang out at is about 35, 40 minutes away, depending upon the traffic. So yeah, I drive a lot, and fortunately I enjoy it. I enjoy driving. I really, 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 really do. But when my wife was gone, kind of circling back to where I was going with that, I streamed a lot, and I did. And one night I actually did a 6 hour stream, and which I streamed like 4 in the morning, and just tad shy of 4 in the morning. That was wacky. Um, and I ate a lot of microwave food. I didn't go out. I didn't spend a lot of money like going out at the restaurants. I didn't play golf. I pretty much stayed home, and I streamed, and I think I worked one day at the golf course. I was hanging out there. Um, Hackman, just for those of you that are listening on Spotify or YouTube, he says, and Hackman's in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, or Minneapolis, something. 273. They paid for gas this morning, which is half of what we paid. And Beefer, who I can't remember where you live, 279. I wish our gas prices were that low. I wish our housing prices were that low. That's amazing. That's like half of what I paid. It's just crazy out here. And people talk about Governor Newsom. It's his fault. It's our local California governor who was on. Gosh darn it, he was on TV the other night. I went off on a streaming bender. Yes, I did. And they think that he might be a good candidate to run for president next election. I don't know. But that's neither here nor there. South of Nashville, 279. Thank you, Beeford. And I will probably forget that again because I have zero memory. But so it was exciting with my wife being gone. It was weird because she wasn't there, but I did stream a lot, and that was fun. I enjoy streaming. I really do. Getting to play the music and just hanging out, and there's always a few people at least in my chat. And which for me, the streaming aspect of it, it's the chat. It's the chat that's almost the more important part of my pleasure from streaming. Yeah, I enjoy music. I enjoy playing the music, and I enjoy hearing it no matter what I'm playing. If I'm playing rock, or if I'm playing mellow, if I'm playing dance stuff, or whatever. I like the chat. I may have talked about this before, but for me, if I'm streaming music, and I'm in the groove to stream music, if I don't have anybody in the chat, or if the chat is real quiet and they're not saying anything, and whatever, I can have 100 people in the room, or it shows me that there's 100 people listening, and there's nobody chatting. I'm gone. Thank you very much. I'm going to raid out. I'm going to go somewhere else because a lot of my enjoyment is interacting with the chat, and that's why we call this Chat with Chuck, because I enjoy interacting with the chat. While my wife was gone, I was lucky enough to have a number of people that were hanging out in the chat, and kind of kept me going. So that was real fun. Hexanair, how are you doing? Hexanair says, we love to hear you speak, but it's really bedtime here, but a quick hello is the least. How you doing? And I just went through this with Beefer. I don't remember, Hex, where you are. I'm going to assume you're in Europe somewhere if it's bedtime there. So I forget. And please never take it personally if I don't remember where you're from, because I can barely remember Central Europe. We'll take that. That is the cool thing about Twitch. Is the worldwide community that is so cool, because people from all over. That's right. I remember this. He originated from the Netherlands. I do remember that. But so anyway, that's it. That's what's gone on with my wife. Now, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that I've been getting these weird phone messages left on my phone. And I know, does anybody actually answer their phone anymore? I mean, if my phone rings, if I pick it up and my phone rings, if I don't know who that is, if it doesn't show me who it is, I don't pick it up. I mean, a lot of times it'll say, spam or whatever, but sometimes it's just it'll have a name. It'll say, Betty or Bob or whatever, and I won't pick it up because I don't know who they are. If it's super important, they will leave a message. And lately, I've been getting these just really random weird messages. Check this one out.
Hey, honey, I'm just wishing you a great day at work today. I'm on my way to work, and hold on, my coffee's ready. Yeah. What the hell is this? You're telling me that this is a full cup of coffee? You gotta be insane right now. What do you think, I'm on a freaking diet? Yeah, fill it up to the max. Fill it to the brim. Sorry, I'm at the coffee shop, and you can't believe it, but they just handed me a freaking half cup of coffee. I ordered a grande, and it's half full. Anyway, have a great day, baby. Yeah, fill it to the brim. Duh, I'm not on a freaking diet. Have a great day, honey. I'll talk to you later.
So, I mean, what? That wasn't Ryan. No, that was. And as I said at the start of the show, there is no April Fools here. I'm giving you straight up stuff, and so I don't know what's going on. I have, it sounded more like Karen. I don't know, Karen who. Yeah, so it's weird, and I actually took my phone, Verizon, and I went down and I showed them to this, and I played it for them, and they had no explanation. They said, "Sir, we don't know." And I go, I'm getting like a weird phone call, a weird message. I didn't say it's a phone call. A weird message like every 2 or 3, 4 days, and it's not the same person. And I'm like, are like lines getting crossed? Is something in the air is sending stuff to my phone? I don't know. So I don't know. But for me, it's hey, it gives me another something that I can share during. It gives me content for a chat with Chuck. So that was that. So I got one more thing I want to touch on before we start the DJ Ryan interview. This was a question that was actually sent to me. I encourage people to if you've got something you want me to talk about that maybe you don't want to bring up in the chat, I encourage you to either email me or send me a whisper on Twitch or text me or whatever, and say, hey, I want you to talk about this. And there's no backstory on here. There was just this question, and here's the question. Pay attention. It says, can you be friends with someone who has different political views? Now we don't try to get real political here on Chat with Chuck, and that's mainly because I don't follow that stuff enough to have an intelligent conversation about politics. I get my stuff from Facebook. Whatever. But that was a good question because I see stuff, and I do occasionally on Facebook. Somebody will post something, somebody will say something, and I will respond with my limited knowledge of a conversation. If it's something that I think that I have a little something in, I can respond to that. But I hear and I see posts on Facebook and on Instagram, about people, unfriending people or deleting people because they have a different political view or just a different view on life. And so if you're in the chat, if you're paying attention, can you? I believe you can. I know people, some very close friends in my DJ community that have a completely different political views than me. And I may think that's stupid. I may think, well, how can you feel that way about XYZ, but they're still my friends, because that is just such a small piece of it. Hackman says, I can be friends with people of opposite political views unless their entire persona is their politics. Now, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. Most of the ones that I run into personally, that's just a little piece. You know, their politics are just a little piece. They rarely come up, you know, but occasionally, you know, especially on some of these events where some of my DJ buds are, or people that I know in the industry, and we're together, you know, 10, 12 hours doing an event. And, you know, sometimes you got free time. Sometimes you got a moment where you're, you know, it's time for your coffee break. And so you sit around and, hey, this, da, 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 you know, something will come up. And it'll get wacky. It'll get a little weird. But I believe that, you know, if you've got a friend, there's just like yourself, just like your own self, there are a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers to you, and there's a lot of layers to your friends. So you don't have to like every layer, but it's just like, you know, 5-layer cake, you know, with different flavors. You know, yeah, there's your chocolate layer, there's your vanilla layer, there's your lemon layer, there's your strawberry layer, there's your, you know, whatever, red velvet. Ugh, I hate red velvet. But I would like the rest of the cake. I just wouldn't deal with the red velvet part, you know. So I think it's the same way with people. Yeah, you can be friends with somebody who has a different political view, unless, I think, like Hackman says, if that is their entire persona, if their life is politics, you know, and they're like that, then yeah, I think maybe we can say, thanks for coming. You know, I appreciate that. So, so thank you for chiming in, Hackman. I do appreciate that. We're about 22 minutes into the show, and I think it's time for the DJ Ryan interview. Let me preference. Let me preference this real quick. Last week, while my wife was gone, I was streaming real late, and Ryan came over to borrow a piece of gear, and it was after his show. He got done like 11 o'clock at night. Okay, now Beaver chimes in right as I'm getting ready to change the subject. What the better question is, can you marry someone of the opposite end of the spectrum? Again, yes. If that's just one layer of their persona, of their person, you know, my wife and I don't agree on everything, and although we voted for the same people, but let's say we didn't. Let's say my wife wanted to vote for somebody and I wanted to vote for somebody, and that doesn't mean we have to get a divorce. It just means that we have different political views on, and again, as Hackman so eloquently said, unless that is their entire persona, unless that's all they talk about or all they are politics. And since that, boy, this might be a longer show than an hour. That brought up a whole nother subject is can you fall out of love with somebody? And I have talked to people about this. You marry somebody, you fall in love with somebody because here they are, they're this person, and you marry this person because you love this person, and now this person, somewhere along the lines after being married, now that person, something changes. And maybe it is a political thing. Maybe they all of a sudden they go to the far end of the spectrum, and maybe they don't just go to the far end of the spectrum. Maybe they take Hackman's side, and that's their complete entire persona. And that's not the person you married. Can you fall out of love with that person? I don't know. Maybe that's a discussion for next time. Maybe I'll make a note. In fact, you know what? I got my pen. I got my paper. I'm gonna make a note. Can you fall out of love? Can you? That could be a whole show. That could be a whole show. Fall out of love. That could be a whole show right there. So no more derailing. Thank you. So, anyways, the interview with Ryan. So. Yeah, my wife was gone. He had a late night gig. I was streaming late. I said, hey, you know, he wanted to borrow some gear. I said, you know, come on by. Just walk in the studio. I'll probably be streaming. You know, we'll take care of it. And he did. And unbeknownst to him, I decided that I was gonna interview him. And because I've wanted to do it live him, but our time frame, our lives just don't mesh up. Our times just don't mesh up. So I was streaming. I turned the camera on. Now, this was a little long. So I'm going to watch the chat. This interview was 20 minutes long, which is longer than I really like to have an interview. So, but I'm going to watch the chat, and because once I start this, I'm not going to talk a whole lot. I'm just going to let the chat go. The lighting was weird, so I'll excuse the lighting. But I think I'm ready to get in. I think I'm ready to get into this. So let's go ahead and do that.
It's time for the big interview. Chuck the DJ interviews people who make their mark in the world, who hold a special place in his heart, or he just thinks are cool. And now, here we go.
Okay, so Chad, I want you to say hello to DJ Ryan 22, who's one of my close personal DJ buddies, and I've known Ryan for a while, not nearly as long as people think I've known Ryan, and but he is one of my idols when it comes to mobile DJing, because he's been doing it for a long time. And the really cool thing about Ryan's mobile DJing is that him and Brooke do a double team a lot of times. They work as a couple. I have never wanted to do that. I never personally liked that, but they make it work, and that's amazing. So on this episode of Chat with Chuck, we are going to interview DJ Ryan. And he has not seen the questions that I have right here for him, so it's going to be completely spontaneous. It's going to be wacky, and it won't be real long. But I want to encourage people in the chat, if you have a question that you want to throw out at Ryan, hold on to it, because we're gonna give you a chance at the end. So let me start off right here with my top question here. Says, Ryan, give us a quick overview of who Ryan the DJ is, what you do now, how long have you been doing it. And if you just met somebody, what do you do for a living?
Dude, I am on like 3 hours of sleep here.
Yep,
working a 16-hour gig almost.
Well,
you're going to ask these questions now.
I am, and it's very impressive that you can do that.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. I started out when I was in my early teens doing youth group dances. I went to this youth group across the street from my high school, and this other guy was doing the dances for the youth group, and I just was enthralled by what he was doing, and just wanted to be a part of it. And so I was like his roadie, his lackey, and just kind of doing anything he wanted, carrying gear, carrying cables, whatever I could do to be, a part of it. And so then he was eventually aged out of the high school youth group, and he still did a bunch of dances after that, but then he lost interest, and so then I wanted to take over, and he offered it to me, and I had to use his gear for the first few dances until he finally said, dude, you got to get your own stuff, man. So and it didn't pay well.
We don't like sharing gear.
No.
Yeah.
It didn't pay well, so it was tough to buy gear at that age. You're broke. You don't have much money. So I started saving up, used some home equipment, did like a CD changer for a while, along with a dual cassette tape kind of thing, queued up all the tapes ahead of time. And, then, God forbid, I had a song that I wanted to play on the other side of the tape, and I had to rewind it and cue that one up. So that was kind of, that and some Radio Shack realistic speakers and mixer and so on. So there was a lot of dead air. Wasn't good mixing whatsoever when I first started. So there was that. That's kind of where I got started and got the interest in doing it. Did my first wedding when I was 17. Yeah, 17. And then just kind of went on from there, just doing school dances and various other events.
It's funny because Beefrick in the chat, he said it was a CD changer. And back when he started, or I started, because I'm a little older than Ryan, but there wasn't DJ gear, and there wasn't computers, and there wasn't DJ CD player, dual CD players. So we were using home stereo equipment to do that. And so you kind of answered my second question about your first DJ gig and how you got it. And that's kind of cool. So I'm going to whip right into what you're kind of known for now. Not completely, because you're a versatile DJ. You do a lot of different things, like most full-time DJs do. But right now, you're kind of known for some country stuff. You do your streaming with your live country line dancing down at Torches in Petaluma, and I watch that, and I watch you teaching these dances. And if anybody in the chat, you've ever watched DJ Ryan 22 on Twitch, it's amazing. On Wednesday nights from like 7:30 to whenever, and the first hour or so, hour and a half, whatever, he's teaching line dancing. And this is what gets me when I watch that. There are so many steps, and so what I'm curious about is do you make up the song or the steps, or do you? I mean, I'm sure there's probably a combination. It's probably like there are some natural steps that are out there, and then do you choreograph certain songs? Is that something that comes from the brain Orion?
I've choreographed a few dances throughout my line dancing career, so to speak, but most of them are created by other choreographers who are really into creating dances. I'm not super into it. I've enjoyed creating the few that I do have, put my name to them, even posted them on some of the line dancing sites, so that's kind of cool. I've got some notoriety there with that, but for the most part, it's other people's dances that you learn and you teach and become popular in the dancing community, and you just kind of teach them and see what hits and what doesn't hit. And some of them are great. Some of them people are like, nah, we're good without this one. So
it's funny because I think most of us of a certain age, I mean, when you think of country line dancing, the movie Urban Cowboy with John Travolta, and those steps and those dances didn't look all that complicated. But when I watch your show, when I watch you doing that, it's just like, I'm like, how does he remember all those steps? And the people are, it's great. Anyway, I applaud you for that. And I know we're kind of on a short time frame, so I'm going to kind of whip through some of this. So you've been in the bar scene for a long time. I know you've been in kind of had residencies in a couple different places, and I know that you work with Jeffrey and all that kind of stuff. But in all those times, can you share a really wild, wacky experience or story, or something that is, it doesn't even have to be PG, but maybe something that's happened that that is stuck to you, like in your heart. You go, oh yeah, remember that one night? Do you have any like something like that?
Yeah, there's a few stories that I probably could tell but shouldn't tell. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, there were no cell phones. There were no smartphones, and so there was no cameras really. People weren't bringing those to and posting on socials and all of that kind of thing. So we kind of got away with a lot of stuff that we probably shouldn't have, both with what we said on the microphone and also with the things we did.
Okay, I'll stop this just for a second because, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan DJ22 just happened to pop into the chat. So as we are showing this, if you want to ask Ryan any questions, he is here to answer your questions. Ryan, welcome in.
Birthday shots, and we do all kinds of stuff with whipped cream. Again, you can use your own imagination.
Yeah.
Things
shots with cream.
For
yeah.
somebody's birthday, we'd get a bunch of people out there and use whipped cream and stuff, and so on. So there's that. But one thing that does stand out is at one of the bars in Vacaville, California. It was called Split Fire. And we, myself and Jeff, DJ Jeff, as well as Zach, DJ Zach. So the three of us were kind of a trio there. Sometimes we worked alone, sometimes we worked together, doing dual DJing kind of thing. And so one night we were all three there, really packed Sunday night. Sunday night was the busy night that we did, and we did line dancing. And then halfway through, we would do freestyle and hip hop and open dancing and whatever for a while, and then go back to line dancing. And so before that, we would do again the birthday shots, the celebrations, and so on. So we decided one night would be really fun is Zach drove his motorcycle down to the club instead of his car that he normally did. And so we thought it would be really funny to drive the motorcycle into the club and onto the dance floor. So the two of us, we put these rock wigs on and got dressed up in these kind of biker outfits, and had our headset microphones on and so on. So we queued it up. Jeff was in the DJ booth. Me and Zach were on his motorcycle. We rolled in. I don't even remember what Jeff played, but some biker, Born to Be Wild or something, as we came in. But we literally drove that motorcycle into the club and onto the dance floor and parked it there. I can't believe the owners allowed this to happen, but we did. And so we got off the bike, of course, did a whole whatever we said on the mic, but we did the birthday celebrations, the birthday shots on the motorcycle. So we'd have people lay down on the motorcycle, put a little whipped cream on the neck or on the belly or something, and then the person's birthday, who it was, would lick the whipped cream off and so on. So that's one that stood out to me, specifically in the fact that one little error that happened is I'm on the back of the bike. My body pack for the microphone popped off of my belt and was now dangling by the spokes of the motorcycle as we're coming in. So that thing, live mic, could have easily gotten tangled up in that thing, and number one, ruined my microphone, yanked my head back, but also would have possibly just completely blown the speakers because it would have been a loud pop and so on. So luckily that didn't happen, but that was just one off the top of
the motorcycle and the bar story. That's great. Yeah. I like that. Okay, moving right along.
Is anyone still here?
I have no idea, but the chat with Chuck that we're recording this for, gets seen on Tuesday. And I'll play this part on Tuesday.
Cool.
And then it's going to get loaded up into YouTube, loaded up to Spotify, loaded up to Amazon Music. So I got a worldwide audience.
Oh,
I think I have 13 subscribers on YouTube.
I'm going to be canceled.
I mean, look out.
it's going to cancel me.
It's going to cancel you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move right along here because I know you're tired. So we DJs we rely so much on our partners. My wife Kajira, she's very supportive. If you're a female DJ, you've got a husband, you got a boyfriend, you got a girlfriend, you got something. And as I said earlier in the show, DJ Ryan and his wife Brooke, if you watch his shows, DJ Wifey 22. A lot of the weddings and events that they do together. They double team it. It's not something that I do, or it's not my style, but they make it work. So, can you give us like maybe a little short idea of something that she's done exceptionally that's been supportive, or it's like just when you think of like, oh my God, this was so great that she did. A little something.
Yeah.
This is a great story coming up.
Working
I
together,
really
we
like
come
this
into
story.
all kinds of interesting situations, that bridal emergencies, things like that. Jimbo Slice Chicago, welcome in. The one of the biggest ones that I can recall. I mean, she's put out so many fires behind the scenes. So let me back up here. So I'm doing the DJ thing. I'm doing the MC. I'm kind of running the show. She's my liaison to the bridal party. She also helps out with various things that could potentially happen to brides and so on. One of which is where she has her little bridal emergency kit. She fixes broken bustles. She gets in there and bustles brides that, the maid of honor, she's done it once or twice in the wedding shop, but she doesn't really know what she's doing. But Brooke gets in there. You need some help, sweetie? And she gets in there and pop, done, easy. So it's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. She gets red wine out of dresses with her, whatever she's got in her kit, all kinds of stuff, save the day moments, so to speak. And so there's been numerous stories that, just kind of like, you can't believe, things that she's done. They'll come up at the end of the night, be like, oh, Ryan, thanks so much. It was a lot of fun. But Brooke, you were amazing. I look at her and go, what did you do? She's like, you don't know what I do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, great. So, so one in particular is where she was, we had a wedding where the bride got so drunk that she was cut off by the bar.
Oh.
And so this was an outdoor wedding out at a local university, Sonoma State University, out back where they're near their big pond. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. Chuck, you do.
I do.
Yeah. And so it was beautiful, gorgeous place. And so the bride was, like I said, intoxicated, and she was cut off. And so she started grabbing someone else's glasses, just random people's glasses, because she wasn't done drinking. So then at one point, she was off with her bridesmaids, and they were having, it looked like some sort of heated discussion. So Brooke walks over and says, hey, ladies, is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help out or whatever? And so the bride turns to her. In the middle of that, bride turns to all of her bridesmaids and says, you're an effing bitch, you're an effing bitch, I don't want any of you bitches here except Brooke. Brooke is the only one I want here. And Brooke had just met this bride, so she has no idea. She's like, I'm so sorry, ladies. And they're like, that's okay. This is how she is. Good luck with her. Bye. And they all took
Oh, my
off.
God.
And so then the bride mentioned she had to use the facilities, but she said it, she's like, I gotta pee right now. And so Brooke's looking around. The bathroom is inside the Commons, which is in a building short distance, but you got to kind of either a long walk or you take a little golf cart up to it. But she's like, no, I can't wait for that. I got to go now. So Brooke's like, what do you want me to do? So Brooke looked around, saw the bar, grabbed a bunch of napkins off the bar, took her behind these bushes, held her dress for her, and she did her business. And she was so intoxicated that she couldn't wipe herself, so Brooke had to take care of that.
Oh, my jeez.
So, and the whole time this is happening, she...
Classy, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Brooke is gone for a while, and I'm entertaining the crowd. And this is a time frame back when we used to use all kinds of party props with blow-up guitars and feather boas and wigs and glasses and all that. And so Brooke's job when we got into that part of the night was to hand out those things and kind of do this. And she was MIA, and I'm like, where the hell is she, And didn't know she was dealing with all of this at the time. So she's gone, 20, 30, 40 minutes, and she finally comes back around, and I'm like, where the heck have you? I laid into her a little bit. Where have you been? We got to do this and that. And she's like, you have no idea what I've been dealing with. So
you need to look at something extra in her paycheck or something. Yeah. I love
and
that.
so then her it turns out, obviously end of the night, the bride is just a shit show at this point, and the groom is livid because they have to be on a plane the next morning. Why they chose to do their honeymoon the next morning, I don't know, but to some foreign country or whatever that they were going to go to. So anyway, long story short, long story longer, they basically weeks later, whatever, they sent her a big gift card for Victoria's Secret or whatever for all that she did and helped out with everything.
So this is a perfect example because DJs cannot give a short answer to anything.
Right.
There's no such thing as, oh, man, I'm really tired. I had a really long day. And you're doing this to me? Here, let me give you a 20-minute story. All right. All right. Look, I got a couple more things here.
Yeah.
I go, okay, right. We're down here, right? We're down the way now. Okay, so people see us in the chat a lot, and you know, I mod for Ryan. Ryan mods for me, and for those of you that are not on Twitch, if you're listening on Spotify or whatever, what a moderator does is if there is a streamer, he's streaming, a moderator watches the chat, kind of keeps things going, maybe, you know, kicks out people that don't belong in there, you know, puts in fun commands just to kind of keep fun things going on. And when Ryan and I are doing that for each other, a lot of times we're picking on each other. We're giving each other shots, and for the uninitiated individual that will walk in and all of a sudden they see Ryan and I, or they read actually Ryan and I, you know, ripping on each other. Sometimes that can be like, you know, but most of the time I don't take it personally. Yeah. What about you? What do you ever not take it personally? I mean, do you ever like, oh, what the heck was that?
No, I mean, you know, it's all fun jabs and so on when it's you and I. I mean, you know, sometimes if it's somebody else that I don't know that well, I mean, you could take it personally, but I don't. You know, when it's you, it's always fun. It's always in jest, and you know, even if it's a hard hit, you know, you're just kind of like, okay.
Even if there's some truth to it.
Yeah,
it's
even if
still,
there's some truth to it,
yeah.
I'm just gonna notate that. Said, okay, I'll remember that one.
All right. So this is kind of I got a couple questions here that kind of ask at the end of the interviews that because I've interviewed DJ Head, which was amazing, and I've interviewed my wife, and then actually on episode number 3 I interviewed myself. Yeah. But so and I think I already know this answer, but for the people who don't know you, as a DJ, we're exposed to a lot of different songs and a lot of different styles. Do you have like the favorite song of all time? Yeah. And if you're in the chat, if you know Ryan at all, you could probably fill it in. If you've paid attention to our streams, you probably know what it is, unless he pulls something out of his butt and throws me a curveball. What is your all-time favorite song?
Well, it is definitely not Pour Some Sugar on Me. I tell you that, Beeford. And I'm blanking right now because I'm working on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. It's that song, but I can't remember what the name of it is.
Chuck Mangione.
Thank you, Chuck Mangione.
Feels good.
Feels so good.
Feels so good.
That is the best song ever created, in my opinion. And I know it's crazy because it's some old 70s or 80s, whatever, instrumental song. The entire song is instrumental. And I like lots of other music. I love hip hop. I love rock. My favorite band is Def Leppard, of course, as most of you know. But this song just does it to me. It's just the best song in the world, in my opinion. So that's my favorite.
Okay, wait. See, now, if I would have really been cool,
but you're not. There we go.
There it is. So, yeah. So if you're listening and you're paying attention, this is the song that we're done. Now, Beaver, mentioned Pour Some Sugar on Me. And
you're right.
I know that I didn't ask you this. I didn't ask you that part.
Yeah.
But I know Def Leppard is probably one of his famous I don't know. Favorite songs, favorite groups
since I was a preteen.
Probably that's probably it.
Way back in the day. Back in the day, I had posters of Def Leppard and Alyssa Milano just all over my room. That was it.
Your parents are going, gay? Not gay. I don't know. I'll get in trouble over that one. I will.
Yeah,
I
will. Yeah, yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's the second question that I asked. Okay. So you're riding back of the limo on the way home from a gig, because I know you're a big time guy, and and you get limos everywhere.
Sure.
Yeah. So you can have 1 or 2 musicians riding with you, living or dead, doesn't matter who it is. Who would you like? What is your bucket list backseat musician? Let's ride. I want to meet this cat. I want to maybe talk with him. I want to share a shot a crown with him or her or whatever. Do you have a bucket list musician?
Gosh, that's a great question. I have no clue what that would be. There's so many. I'd love to share that moment with. All the greats: Billy Joel, Huey Lewis and the News, Elton John. I mean, these are all greats, and of course, band members of Def Leppard would be great too. Just about every not every, there's some bands I don't really care for, and some others, But what I miss?
Jimbo is saying Jimmy Castor Bunch, because we know the Jimmy Castor Bunch puts out my favorite song, Troglodyte, and Ryan just loves Troglodyte. But I do want to say,
worst song ever.
Thank you, Bane. Thanks for hanging out. Good night, Bane. And for those of you that are watching, it's 12:33 a.m. right now. So it's kind of late for a lot of people, and then we have a lot of people on the East Coast and Midwest that are in our chat right now, and it's really late. So that's actually the only other thing I want to ask is, what have I missed? Is there something that you think people should know about you, or anything you want to share? And at the same time, if there's anybody in the chat, if you have a question or something for Ryan, real quick, because we are coming down to the timeline on this segment of this show. Is there a question anybody in the chat has for Ryan? Or Ryan, is there something I missed that you'd like to point out, that you're you're a huge San Francisco fan or something?
Yeah, I'm a Niners fan and a Giants fan, huge fans ever since I was a little boy. Aside from that, I don't know. I don't find it easy to talk about things about myself. When it's not DJ related, it's kind of hard to think of what to say. Okay,
well, so we have Beefrick. I'm not going to ask him that question.
Somebody ban that guy.
But somebody ban Beefrick. I'm not going to ask that. But Jimbo Slice has asked this question a couple of times, and he says, "Why do you hate the song Troglodyte?"
Wow.
I mean, is it one of those things that you just picking me on, or
part of it's picking on you?
Just a dumb song.
It's a really dumb song. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me.
I'll suck it to you, Daddy.
I mean, it's just so annoying. It's so freaking annoying. I can't handle it.
I just love the groove of Troglodyte.
I get it. I can understand why, but I can also understand why I hate it.
Well, Ryan, I do appreciate you hanging out with me, and I do appreciate you doing this, especially unannounced, unplanned, unscripted. Well, I was scripted. I was scripted. I had my questions, but
trickery
Ryan,
to get me here. Yeah. Trickery.
Well, I don't know where that hard drive.
Right.
I mean, honest to God, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
No, it's.
While you're down there.
I'm going to find it. You're going to get in your car and you're going to leave, and I'm going, damn it, here it is. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, give here. I got to shake your hand. Give DJ Ryan a nice round of applause, and I do again. Once again, I do appreciate him being here, and this will be a fun segment on the show. So we're going to stop recording now. So there you go. That was a little bit long. I actually thought maybe I would do that in 2 segments. I thought maybe I would do, hey, let's do part 1 tonight, let's do part 2 next week. But you know what? I just couldn't find a good spot to break that up. So Ryan, Beefrick, we're gonna ban you. We're gonna ban Beefrick from the chat from now on whenever we interview anybody. Ryan, you're in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. If you paying attention to the chat, if you have anything you want to say to Ryan or whatever, feel free. He's here to answer your questions, and he's got things he can sell. He's got a little thing going on where he's selling used underwear, and I'm not going to go there, but check his OnlyFans page for that. So, but thank you, Ryan. I do appreciate you putting up with that. And like I say, it was completely spontaneous. So he did not know I was going to make him do that, and it was late. He'd been on a 15-hour gig. That day, and he just stopped by to pick up a piece of hard drive, and I couldn't find it. That was a bad thing. He came by, and I couldn't find the hard drive. I was just like, what happened? What happened to the hard drive? I don't know, but it was funny, and see, that's the kind of thing. Cool. Ryan's gonna raid me out to Amaranth now. This is the kind of thing, picking on each other. Ryan and I do this when we're modding, or we're in each other's chats or whatever, and it's done with love. It's fun. We just have a good time. But now the problem that I have now is I have like 10 minutes left on the show here, and all my normal segments I have might take a little bit longer than that. Because I know I do want to go to my last segment in just a couple of seconds here, which again was the run to the chat. So I'm hoping people that are here in the chat, that are still here, that are putting up with us, will have a question for me, they'll want to make a statement about something that maybe I've said, or just something on their mind, something that you want to vent or you want to rant about. I did get, speaking of that, maybe that's how I can kill just a couple seconds here. I got another note. Alice, I need to hydrate, but I forgot to bring my water. I got a rant here from an individual. He sent me these two, and they kind of go in with what I have talked about before, and it's from DJ Jabane. I just call him Bane. He said I could use his name, so I'm going to. And the first thing is kind of to the DJs and or what people think, but mainly sort of probably aimed at the DJs. He got some static from another DJ because Bane's kind of known for his country stuff, and he was playing some rock or some hip hop or something, and the other DJ told him, "Hey, stop it. Stay in your lane. You're a country DJ. That's what you should play. Stay out of my lane." And he was just kind of blown away. Those of us who are full-time DJs, who are out there, not just a Twitch DJ, but we're out there in the world, and we're entertaining the masses. We a lot of times, people say, "Well, what kind of music do you play?" Well, I get played I'll get it out. I speak professionally for a living. I'll pay what I get played. I'll get it out. I play what I get paid to play. For example, a couple weekends ago, I had a wedding where, or actually it wasn't a wedding, it was an event where all they wanted was French house music. Okay, no problem. So we do French house music. Most of my weddings are pretty much middle of the road. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Rarely do I get that was a wow. Rarely do I get a wedding where they want all country, or they want all hip hop, or they want all house, or all oldies. Occasionally I will do like a Clash reunion, like a 50-year Clash reunion, and you're gonna lean over there, whatever was popular back then. But you're also gonna be ready for those people that come up and maybe request a newer song. Hey, can you play Bruno Mars song or something? And we do that. That's what we do. If you're a mobile DJ, that's what you do. But to get for this guy to pick on him and telling him to stay in his lane, he thought that was a rant. He didn't like that. He didn't think that was right, and he just was completely annoyed by that. If you're a DJ in the chat, I think Ryan's probably my only actual DJ in the chat, so he might understand that a little bit. But we DJs, we play everything, especially those of us that are trying to make a living out of it. If you want to be a house DJ and that's all you want to play, and come hell or high water, all I'm going to play is house music, and you want to try to get into a club, and then you think you're going to get into a situation where now you're going to be a headliner, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you know what? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Can it be done? Sure, it can be done. People have done it. But the reality of it is no. It's not going to happen, dude. But go to your day job. Go work at Safeway, and be your little house DJ on the side. And I'm just using house. It could be anything. We got both kinds. We have country and western. Hackman says that's funny. I'm actually on a country raid train tomorrow. By the way, speaking of which, tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I'll be getting my yeehaw on. I'll be doing a country raid train. I'm in the caboose on a country raid train. Speaking of staying out of my lane. So in case anybody wants to get their yeehaw on tomorrow. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, well, there was one more rant he wanted to talk about some raid trains, and I've ranted about raid trains so often. He was just saying that there was this one guy that there was 4 different raid trains that Bane was on, and this gentleman was on all 4 raid trains, and he just blew him off. His time came to be there, and he just didn't show up. And for those of you that have put raid trains on, I know Alice has, I know I have, I did one, I'm not doing it again. How rude is that? You know? And what he was saying, what Bain was saying was respect the train. If you're a DJ or you're putting a train on or you're involved with it, respect the train. Be there for the train. Don't log on, 2 minutes before it's your time, log on 15 minutes, 10 minutes before your time, so the next DJ that is going to raid into you is not freaking out, or the last DJ is not freaking out. The other last quick story I have is that I was on a raid train where the guy was going to raid into me. He had like 100 and something people in his room, and he just decided not to. He's on a train, had a bunch of people in his room. I told him I was on. He said, hey, good, okay, great. And when time came, he just raided one of his buddies. Completely derailed the train. Anyway, all right, we're down to the last 5 minutes or so of the show, and I don't know if this is gonna work. Yeah, stay in my lane, right? I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but I'd like to open up the chat now. I've been trying to pay attention to the chat as I've gone along, but I've ignored a little bit of it, and it's been kind of quiet. But let's do this new segment. Where is it at? Here it is.
It's time for Run to the Chat. Your chance to ask a question, spout a thought, make a query, or share an idea. What you got?
All right, that was a little loud, wasn't it? I'm going to have to turn that one down. Run to the chat. You got a question, you got an idea, you got a concern, you got rants, you got thoughts. For the last, the last 3 or 4 minutes here, if you've got something that you would like to question or whatever, yeah, I'll fix that in post. Hackman, that's actually the first time I played that, that drop. And so, actually, while we are talking, since nobody's saying anything, I'm going to go into the program here and actually turn that down, and we'll save it. And so next time, hopefully, it won't be as loud. Alice is trying to think of something. Alice, I mean, another great DJ. If you're looking for a good DJ to follow, especially if you like your older stuff and rock and things, Alice has got just a heck of a show that she does, and she is one of the busiest people with all her fingers in doing different movie projects and scripts and just life in her real job and all kinds. I mean, I'm lazy. Okay, so DJ Ryan says, yeah, when it comes to a raid train, you show up early, you make sure everything is working great, you make sure the next streamer is on and ready, and you raid out on time. On time. That is so true, Ryan. The raid train, the purple raid train that I was on last week, the caboose, and I'm not going to mention any names, went on a half hour late because they were out shopping and they did some stuff and they came back and they wanted some balloons in their chat, and before they went on, they had to blow all the balloons up because they wanted them in the chat. That made, fortunately, that DJ that was on before them, he could play an extra half hour. I was there, I was watching, I was like, hey, if you have to leave, I can jump on real quick to cover. But you know what? That's not respecting the train. That's being rude to the people around you, the conductor, the other engineers, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. So Ryan, yeah, right out on time. I'm a stickler for that. If you're supposed to play from 3 to 4, for example, you raid out at 3:59 or 3:58. So at 4 o'clock, the next person goes on, especially if the raid train is a 1 hour raid train. Because an hour, I mean, we barely get moving in an hour. So yeah, right on time. Matthew, Dan Stations, you've been a great pro and personal friend. Thank you for the shout out earlier. You rock. That's a Chuck Ego moment. Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, Matthew and I have known each other. I don't know, Matthew. I mean, you got any idea how long it's been? It's been 20, 30 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. When I met Matthew, he was managing a warehouse record store. He liked what I was doing. We got together 35 years, Matthew. Thank you. Yeah, he got together, and it's been a joy and been an experience knowing Matthew. But So I think we can close out the run to the chat segment since nobody kind of ran to the chat. And speaking of closing out on time, it is 4:59, which means we're less than a minute to finish the show. And I do want to thank everybody for being here, all the people that are in the chat. Again, you can catch this on YouTube. You can listen to it later on down the road. I don't know if it'll be on Spotify since I inadvertently actually played that segment of, Feel So Good. That was a great song that Ryan likes. I will probably be back on later on tonight. No, wait, tonight's Tuesday night. Ryan is on tonight. Ryan's on 8 o'clock tonight. Ryan will be streaming at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And so once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. And I hope you had a good time listening, enjoying, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening to Chat with Chuck. Have something you want Chuck to riff about? Send him a whisper and get ready to be entertained. I'm Greg Murray. Thanks for listening.